Hey, what is going on, everybody? Liam here, Everything NYJ, back with a quick video for you. In today's video, we will be talking about potential wide receiver options for the New York Jets after Corey Davis abruptly retired yesterday at age 28. We say abruptly, but if you think about it, the signs were there. Corey Davis missed all of OTAs. He was dealing with an illness for a little while. He was missing some training camp due to personal reasons. And like I said, the signs were kind of there. I mean, he had actually mentioned to his teammates that he was contemplating retiring. The reason for his retirement and stepping away from the game at only 28 years old has not been disclosed yet. And looking at the human being aspect of it, Corey Davis, the person, it's really none of our business why he chose to retire. All you can do is really wish him the best of luck. And if he feels like this is the right move for him and his family, then you can't knock the guy for it. Like I said, all you could do is wish Corey Davis, the best in his future endeavors. I'm really kind of disappointed and bummed out that we're not going to get to see Corey Davis play in Nathaniel Hackett's system with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers, especially when you're not asking Corey Davis to be a number one wide receiver like he was in Zach Wilson's rookie year. And he actually even had a big role last year. But there has been injury concerns with Corey Davis and drop concerns with Corey Davis. He was set to make about $10 million this year, and there was actually a case being made to potentially cut Corey Davis. Robert Saleh has doubled down on that in his press conferences in the last couple of months, saying that Corey Davis was a lock to make this team. So, like I said, was he high priced? Yeah, a little bit. But I do think that, being a big body outside wide receiver, he did bring a lot to the table. You think back to his Tennessee Titans overtime touchdown winning catch. You think back to the Cleveland Browns touchdown. He has had some memorable moments with the New York Jets, and he was a decent wide receiver. I'm not going to say he was really good. He was just kind of in the middle. I think he was decent, but getting off topic here a little bit. But yeah, just most importantly, I want to wish Corey Davis the best of luck. I am pulling for him. And maybe one day we will be lucky enough to see him on the football field once again. Now, with Corey Davis leaving, this does leave only four wide receivers with the New York Jets: Garrett Wilson, Mecole Hardman, Alan Lazard, and of course, Randall Cobb, the veteran. And I personally think that the New York Jets are going to be carrying six wide receivers. And when they had Corey Davis, it looks like they were only going to be able to keep either Jason Brownlee or a Xavier Gipson. I also made the case yesterday during episode 96 of the Everything NYJ podcast. Cheap plug there. If you haven't checked it out, please go ahead and do so. It's on all these social media platforms. It's, of course, on the YouTube channel as well. I was making a case that maybe now you could potentially keep both of them. Are they great options? Not yet. We have seen a lot of great catches from Jason Brownlee in training camp, but in preseason games, he hasn't really flashed. Xavier Gipson, he plays special teams. He could be a punt returner, and he has had some nice catches in preseason as well. So maybe you want to keep one of them. Once we talk about some of these potential options that the Jets could be looking into to fill the void at the wide receiver position, but just getting into the undrafted free agents, Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gipson, do I trust them going or entering a going all in year, I should say? Not necessarily, because they are very unproven. I want some proven talent on this team. The Jets, in franchise history, have had success with undrafted free agents, most notably Wayne Chrebet, probably being the best one. And then you have also Robbie Anderson, who I think we saw Robbie Anderson's best years with the New York Jets. He bounced around to a couple other teams and hasn't really done a whole lot since then. But just putting it out there that you can get production from some of these undrafted guys. But I'm going to get into some of these players that the New York Jets can potentially trade for. But trades are very interesting because keep in mind that the New York Jets did give the Green Bay Packers a conditional second round pick that can turn into a 2024 first round pick if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of his snaps. And knock on wood, bearing injury, he's going to be playing more than 65% of his snaps, unless you're just blowing teams out of the water by halftime, third quarter, and you're throwing Zach Wilson in the fourth quarter. Very unrealistic. Aaron Rodgers, will be playing more than 65% of his snaps. So that does make the first and second round draft picks for 2024 a little questionable, unless the New York Jets want to go ahead and hold up Green Bay and just possibly just give them the first round draft pick. I would be 100% okay with doing so. Aaron Rodgers is worth his weight in gold on this team. And like I said, other than injury, we're going to be giving it to them anyway. So would you rather just give them the first round pick now and knowing what you have, or you go into the season, risk him potentially getting injured and only giving him a second round pick? I don't know. It's a risky game you play here. So getting into trades, you cannot talk about a wide receiver trade potentially linked to the New York Jets without talking about the one, the only Davante Adams. He has history with Aaron Rodgers. He's 30 years old. He's only making $6 million this season, but he will be making $16 million in 2025. Last year, he had 1,500 yards. He had 14 touchdowns, and Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers absolutely love each other. And you got to wonder that this contract will most likely be restructured. But if anybody can restructure a contract, it's Joe Douglas, as we proved with Aaron Rodgers giving $35 million to the New York Jets. So I really think that if Davante Adams wants this to happen, if the Las Vegas Raiders are willing to let this happen, and Joe Douglas wants this to happen, I think this could be a recipe for success, and I think that we could realistically see Davante Adams in green and white. But now you just got to wonder, they went out, they got Jimmy Garoppolo. Are they a team that's going all in? No, not necessarily. At least in my opinion, I don't think so. But I'm not so sure that the Las Vegas Raiders are willing to give up Davante Adams. There has been rumors that Davante Adams was going to force his way out of Vegas. It all remains to be seen. Do I think that this is a realistic option? Like I could see it happening, but I'm not holding my breath on it, if that makes any sense. Like more likely than not, it's probably not going to happen, but I wouldn't be necessarily surprised if it did. Another player to potentially look out for, and I really like this one. I think that this probably is the most realistic option, if I'm being honest, is Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans. 30 years old. He has a $13 million base salary. He is entering the last year of his contract. So next year he'll be a free agent. And, it's pricey, but it's not too pricey. I think that it's definitely going to be worth the production that you're going to get from him. Last year, he had 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he has been in the league for 9 years now. And every single year for the last 9 years, every single year of his career, he has had 1,000+ yards. So it's almost like a given that Mike Evans is going to give you 1,000+ yards. He is a outside wide receiver, big body. So I really do like this move. And then you got to wonder that with Kyle Trask and Baker, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really going all in again? I think that they're definitely playing for the future. Like they're not in the mix to be making a playoff run or even a Super Bowl run like they were a couple years ago with Tom Brady. Like they're just not in that same boat this year. They have Todd Bowles as head coach, and then you also have Chris Godwin. Do they want to keep both of those pricey wide receivers? And that's the next player I want to get into. I don't like this move as much, but Chris Godwin. He's a little bit younger. He's only 27 years old. He has a $1 million base salary this year and then an $18 million salary next year. So there is a significant jump there. He does play mostly in the slot, which I want an outside guy. I want that big body like Corey Davis. Like I want to actually replace Corey Davis. I think, not to get off track here, but I think Mike Evans would have been a better option than Chris Godwin. But like I said, he does play mostly in the slot, so I feel like there'd have to be a lot of shifting in order to make that happen. But he did have 1,000 yards last year and 3 touchdowns. Do I like this contract? No, not really. Maybe if we could get him on a much, much, much cheaper deal, I would feel a little bit better about it with the New York Jets. And like I said, I think that Joe Douglas could get that done. But even if Corey Davis was still on the team and you were to trade him like a complete swap with Mike Evans, I think I would still do that. I like Mike Evans, I really do. And then another realistic option not as appealing, but it's Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins has the experience playing with Aaron Rodgers. He's been all around the league. Baltimore Ravens, he's been with the Chiefs. He's been around. Buffalo Bills, most notably. He's 30 years old. He didn't have a ton of production last year, and actually the last couple of years he hasn't. But he is a reliable wide receiver. He is a veteran, and he is somebody who has experience in Hackett and especially with Aaron Rodgers. So I think that is a realistic possibility right there. And then you look into some not so appealing offers because there's not a whole lot of big high end names in free agency right now because otherwise they'd be on teams. So looking at one is Brian Edwards. He was actually just released from the New Orleans Saints, I believe, this week. He does know the West Coast system a little bit. He's only 24 years old, which is really appealing because he's very young. He's also 6'3". But just the other night in the Saints preseason game, he cost the Saints 2 touchdowns with penalties and dropped a would-be touchdown pass. So there are concerns there, but 24 years old, already having 3 years of experience in the NFL, that's somebody that like we might want to take a look at. And then Nathaniel Hackett and the New York Jets could really mold him into what they want. So I do see a little bit of potential here, but I just see a very green wide receiver. Another one is Hunter Winfrow from the Raiders. He's coming off of a shoulder injury. He has dealt with multiple injuries, but other than that, he is a pretty good wide receiver. His numbers aren't necessarily up there. So he wouldn't be on the same tier as somebody like a Corey Davis, but he does play in the slot as well. So I don't know, but these are just some of the names that are out there. You have Demarcus Robinson from the Rams. That's another name to take a look at. But what do you guys think? So like in my personal opinion, I think the three most realistic would be either well, actually four. I think the most realistic, going over this a little bit, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Sammy Watkins. With my absolute most realistic is Mike Evans. That's who I think is the number one most realistic. Now on my wish list, I want Devontae Adams. Who doesn't? He is on the top of everybody's fantasy list right now. So really excited about this. What do you guys think that the New York Jets are going to do? Do you think that they make a move for one of these players that I just mentioned? Do you have somebody else in mind? I know Jarvis Landry has been floated out there. You have Kenny Galladay, who I don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. He was just a complete train wreck with the Giants, but he is available. So there are players out there, but like I said, no great options out there. So like I said, let me know down in the comment section below which player you excited to see. Do you think that there is one player on this list that the New York Jets will be taking a look and potentially swinging for? Or do you think they keep just Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gipson and not make any of these moves? Thank you guys for watching. Please like this video, give it a thumbs up if you do like this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new here or if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate it. Follow Everything NYJ on all social media platforms at Everything NYJ. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll talk Jets soon.